Okay, so I waited quite a while to make this video because I was still mulling over my feelings about Batman versus Superman, Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, whatever you want to call it. Um, I wanted to make sure before I made this video that I was more collected, more like I had collected my thoughts a little better. Because when I came out of the movie, I was very mixed. I had a lot of these soaring highs and a lot of these really lows, and I didn't know what to think about the movie. I wanted to make sure that I had a solid ground before I decided to talk about the movie. And this isn't really going to be a review. It's going to be more of a discussion about the movie, more of a look at the movie. There will be spoilers here. If you don't want to have anything spoiled for you if you haven't seen the film yet, I implore you to go see it first, come back, and then you can watch this video and whatever you think, you think. But, okay. I saw Batman v Superman opening night. Actually, I saw it the 24th. I don't know. Whatever the day before. I don't even remember what day it came out on, honestly. I think it was the 24th. I saw it that night in IMAX. I was pumped. Man of Steel is my favorite comic book movie. I haven't talked about Man of Steel on this channel yet. I will get to it. But Man of Steel is my favorite comic book movie ever made. And I just love everything about it. I love the visual style to it. I love the effects, the cinematography, the music is incredible, and all the performances, the cast is great. I love that movie to death. It is a masterpiece of comic book filmmaking, in my opinion. I also love Watchmen, another Zack Snyder film. Those are both in my top 10 comic book movies ever made. That being said, this movie isn't even close. This one is a humongous step down, and that's painful because I am primarily a DC guy. It's not to say I don't love Marvel. I love Marvel. I love what they do. I love their comics. I love their movies. But I've always been a DC guy. The one that got me into really reading comics was Green Arrow, and that happened. I started reading comics not so long ago. I started reading comics in 2012. After not even in 2012, like a year, like 2013ish. I started reading comics because Arrow got me into comic books, got me into Green Arrow, and as soon as I started reading Green Arrow comics, Green Arrow quickly became my favorite superhero. So I had a one solid foothold in the DC universe, and then I expanded, and the DC quickly became my favorite between Marvel and DC. Of the big two, there are obviously like Image Comics and Boom Comics and all that stuff. But I'm a big DC guy. And Batman vs Superman, the one that's really supposed to start this DCEU, DC Cinematic Universe, whatever you want to call it. I don't know what to call it this week. Was a letdown. It's not a bad movie. I enjoyed the movie. I don't think it's terrible, but it's got egregious issues. It's got really bad issues. Things that aren't forgivable. Just to be completely blunt about it, it has big problems. And that's really disheartening for me because I was super excited for this movie when it was announced. I was, back in, I think it was 2013 when it was announced. 2013, 2014, one of the two. I don't remember which one. It was announced, and they announced it with that great famous line from The Dark Knight Returns, and I was like, "This is gonna be fucking awesome." They're making Batman fighting Superman. This is a movie that people I've been waiting for a while, and a movie that people have been waiting for longer than I've been alive, and we're finally getting it. It's gonna happen. They're gonna fight on screen. And on top of that, this is going to kick off that universe. Wonderful. I'm stoked. That's great. Stuff started coming out. They started casting people. Ben Affleck got cast as Batman. I wasn't a big fan of it at first. I didn't really get it. But after talking to my friend Scott, he won me over. He got me to see the right parts of it. And, I became a Ben Affleck supporter. And the more and more that the marketing went on, the more and more I thought Ben Affleck's going to fucking kill it. But, yeah, I mean, to say that I was excited for this movie is a grave understatement. It's been one of my most anticipated films for the past couple years. So to say that it's not good is pretty disheartening. Honestly, I'm very disappointed. Um, that being said, there are parts of it I did like. Not gonna lie, I'm not gonna hate on this movie. This parts of this discussion may come off as a rant, but as a whole, there are parts of this movie that I get very passionate about, and there are parts of this movie that I don't get very passionate about. Parts of this movie that I do enjoy quite a bit. So, let me adjust this a little bit. Okay, so talking about the good right now. We're gonna talk about the good first. I'll get to the bad later because the bad might take a little bit. Good stuff. Okay. Ben Affleck is Batman. He is so good. He's so good in this movie. He fucking kills it. I'm telling you, he's so good. Yeah, I'm not a big proponent of the Bale movies. I mean, like I enjoy them. They're fantastic movies. Do I personally think that they are great Batman movies? Not per se. I do really like them. They're good movies. They're really good movies. Like some of, The Dark Knight is one of the greatest crime movies ever made. It is so great. I don't think. I think of the three, I think Batman Begins is the best Batman movie. But The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises are two fantastic movies. Bale was good in those. I liked him. He's fine. I liked him as Bruce Wayne more than I liked him as Batman, admittedly, which is a problem. But he was good. Ben Affleck has both. That's the thing. He kills it as Bruce Wayne and he kills it as Batman. Because my favorite up till now was Michael Keaton. I think he killed it as Bruce Wayne. I think he killed it as Batman. Then this one came along, and Ben Affleck blew the role out of the water. He killed it. I believed him. I didn't even see Ben Affleck. I didn't see Ben Affleck while watching the movie. I saw Bruce Wayne and I saw Batman. That's just if you can lose an actor in a role, you won. It's over. You like done, cut, deal. It's over. You won. He's great. He's fantastic. He's scary. He's that one action scene you see in that final trailer in the warehouse is some of the best superhero fighting I've ever seen in my entire life. In any of these superhero movies, that is some of the best fight choreography I've ever seen, and it's easily the best action scene that Batman's ever been in. Physically, not including car chases, but like best fight scene that Batman has ever been in is in this movie. Now, there are problems with his character that I will get to, but as far as inhabiting the role and the way that he just embodies it, fantastic, incredible. Jeremy Irons as Alfred. That's part of the reason why I like Ben Affleck so much, because they bounce off each other so well. It is so cool. It's like the animated series all over again. They have that like back and forth. I really, really liked, Perry White came back with that humor. There is humor in this movie, despite what some people might want to cover up and say this is a completely gloomy and non-humor. There's like zero humor in the movie. It's not true. There is some. Not all of it works, but some of it's really good. Most of it's stuff with Perry is great. And they give him a little bit more. They give him more things to say this time. Lawrence Fishburne kills it as Perry White. He's so good. I hope they make another Man of Steel movie so he can talk more. He can give him more things to do, because he kills it. I love just forgetting about Gal Gadot. Gal Gadot is Wonder Woman. Now they don't give her a lot to do, so take this with a grain of salt. But I thought she was really good as Wonder Woman. I thought she was really good. Much better than I thought she was going to be. Because when they casted Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, I hated the casting. Because she was in like Fast and Furious 4, 5, and 6. I think 4, 5, and 6. She literally couldn't act in those 3 movies. I love those movies. She is bad in them. She's nothing more than a pretty face and a pretty body in those movies. Because they literally they use her for her looks, and they give her a couple of badass action scenes. But like as a character and as an actress, she doesn't really do anything. She's really wooden. In this, she had some really fucking good delivery on some of those lines. Like any scene between her and Bruce Wayne, she's fantastic, and she's really like way better than. Maybe I'm saying fantastic because I was expecting really bad, but she was really good. I think she legitimately delivered some of those lines really well, and her in as Wonder Woman, as fighting as Wonder Woman. Wow. I was blown away, man. She was like probably some of the most badass action scenes I've ever seen. She's so good. I thought she was really good. She was way better than I was expecting. I was expecting her to be awful, and she was good. I'm glad she was good because as much as I expected her to be awful, I was praying to God that she wasn't going to be. I was cheering for her, and she definitely pulled through. I was very proud of her. I'm hoping that her movie, she's just as good. I hope she's just as good or even better because you're resting a whole movie on her. That's kind of scary, but I'm hoping that works out because it looks great. I think it looks great. There's the action scenes in this movie. The action scenes that are in this movie are fantastic action. Like the action is so great. Snyder's always had a good eye for action in Man of Steel, Watchmen, and 300. He's always had even like Sucker Punch is a movie I don't like. I think it's bad, but I think it's a very 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 badly written movie. It's a mess, but it had great action scenes. So he's always been really good with visuals and very good with direction of action, and he continues that trend. Like this movie visually and the effects and the way that these heroes fight, they're awesome. It's awesome. I can't help but geek out about seeing some of this shit because there's so much Dark Knight Returns. Dark Knight Returns influence in this movie, and though I don't think that Dark Knight Returns is the greatest Batman story of all time or that is the greatest graphic novel ever written, you can't deny some of this stuff's fucking cool, man. The Batsuit's super fucking Dark Knight Returns. The some of the poses, like you see him the way he does that like that iconic Dark Knight Returns pose where he poses in front of the moon in midair. They do that. A little different, but they do it. And it looks fantastic. It doesn't look like they're forcing it. It looks great. And the armored batsuit is badass. It's so cool. And to know that was mostly CGI, like the action, like I think they had an actual suit for like standing moments, for when they were just standing there. But when it came time for actual action and for Ben Affleck to have to move in it, they put the whole suit was CG, dude. I think maybe the helmet wasn't, but like the whole rest of the suit, the parts that had to move, CG. That's so cool. I don't want CG to overtake everything, but the fact that I didn't even know that, like I knew that. I knew that going into the movie. I knew that because I saw a behind the scenes video where they talked about that, and I went and saw the movie and I couldn't fucking tell. I couldn't tell. It's the same thing with like Superman's cape. Superman's cape was CGI and. Some of the scenes in Man of Steel I had no fucking clue. I had no idea. The fight scene, the battle between specifically, when we're getting specifically in the action scenes, the fight scene between Ben Affleck and Henry Cavill Superman is really great. It's way shorter than I thought it should be, almost disturbingly short. But the fight is really good. So. That's a plus. The Batman v Superman aspect of the film was great. The Justice League cameo things. This is kind of half and half, so I'm going to say the ones I like, and then I'll go to the ones I don't like. Okay. The one that I really did like the most was Flash. Actually, this is the only one I liked of the three. I think there's of the three. The only one I liked was Flash. Just because like the way it was just simple. He was in a like a Cumberland Farms or something, And these guys try to rob the store, so he just flashes out and fucks them up, and that's awesome. I like that. That was cool. I like the effect for it too. Like there's electricity in the air and stuff. It's like that was cool. I want to see a whole movie. I can't wait to see the movie. I can't wait to see him in Justice League. But we'll get to the other two later on. No, I'll do them right now just because I know I'm going to forget. Aquaman's, it's kind of just floating there in the water looking like, why the fuck are you in my Atlantis? Like, he's just like, what the fuck, dude? And then he zooms off at super speed, like in the water. And I'm like, oh, that's cool, but the rest of it was, what the fuck's going on? It looked like Jason Momoa was like, oh, I just woke him up. He just woke Jason Momoa up, rolled him out of bed, and he's like, what the fuck, dude? And then the Cyborg one's bad. The Cyborg one's really fucking bad because the CGI quality for it is not great. It's one of the effects in the movie that's not great. It's very clearly the New 52 origin with the mother box and all that stuff. But the mother box looked terrible. Really fucking bad. I did like how the father, though, was Dyson from Terminator 2. That was pretty cool. I think he was also on Smallville. I think he was also one of the people from Cadmus Labs on Smallville. DC likes to use people in all their shows over and over again. They're from their shows to their movies, back to their shows again. They love to do that. I don't know why. But like that. That was one good part about that scene, was that Dyson was in it. And it's kind of funny that a guy who was in Terminator was working on Cyborg. It's his father. I thought that was kind of interesting. But the score, that's another great thing. I think the score is great. Some people are really bitching about the score, saying it's just loud noise after loud noise. But like when I'm looking at it, it's like when I'm hearing it, I'm like, it's like when you hear like the Batman theme, the dun 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 dun. It's like Batman's coming for you. You're fucking done, son. You're dead. It's over. I like that. That's cool because it's like no matter what you do, Batman's coming for you, and you're done. You're done, son. You ain't getting out of here. You're either going to jail or you're getting put 6 feet under. So that's pretty cool. The Superman theme, like from Man of Steel, one of my favorite parts of it was the theme. While I love John Williams' original Superman score, it is fantastic. It is one of the most iconic scores ever. The new theme, it was so beautiful. Like the one, it's just a simple piano notes that swells into this eventual really triumphant score, and that score is so gorgeous, and it fit that movie so well because he goes from such humble beginnings to being Superman, and they continue that one in this one. They bring that one back, and I love that score. It's like it's just gorgeous. It's my favorite off the soundtrack personally. But it's basically a redo, so like it doesn't count. My favorite new piece of music is Wonder Woman's theme. Wonder Woman's theme is so badass. Because it's like right when she appears, it comes on. It's like, whoo, bro. Like, that is awesome. It's so good. It's got like these nice, cool guitar beats in it. I'm like, that's definitely Junkie XL. I can definitely recognize where he came in for that one. I love the score. The score's great. But, like, that's about it. That's it. I mean, I've taken up, 18 minutes talking about that, but on top of that, there's also the problems of the movie. The problems of the movie are numerous. The script, it had to have had issues. I have to assume that there were problems. There was the 2.5 hour cut, the one we got to see in theaters, but there's also a 3 hour cut. And there's also a 4 hour cut. Now, you could say, if you want to talk about, the 4 hour cut means they cut that together. That was a complete cut. Which then they whittled down to 3 hours. So they cut story out of the 4 hour cut to make the 3 hour cut. That was the one that was picture locked originally. And then they said, no, shorten it down to 2.5 hours. That one got picture locked. And that's what we got. The 3 hour cut we're getting on Blu-ray. Okay. Great. But that's not the movie we got in theaters. And I'll preface this saying that I think the 3 hour cut got picture locked and then it got whittled down. Prefacing that, don't quote me on that. I think, but the 4 hour cut is what the movie was supposed to be. I wish that was the cut we were getting on the Blu-ray, because that's the full story. Whether that full story is up quality it remains to be seen. But that 4 hour cut is the story. The 3 hour cut is a longer version of the whittled down story from the 2.5 hour cut. It's only another half an hour of footage. It's not going to fix all the problems. That's the problem. Because a lot of the problems with this movie stem from the editing. This movie, you can feel, there's a collection, some of these scenes are really great. Some of the scenes are bad, but some of the scenes are really fucking great. Problem is that they don't fit together right because they were cut down. It was cut down to 2.5 hours. I don't think 30 minutes of extra footage is going to fix that, especially because apparently a big chunk of that is devoted to the useless segment at the beginning of the movie, the Africa scene or whatever that was. That scene with with Lois Lane and Superman comes and saves her. That scene, wherever that was set. Apparently, a lot of the time is devoted to that, which is a useless subplot that is there for literally no other purpose but to make Lois Lane relevant in the story. There's no other reason for that story to be in there. It really doesn't have a large bearing on anything else. And it's also the scene where they apparently killed Jimmy Olsen in there, because you look at the credits and apparently Jimmy Olsen was in the movie. They never say that CIA agent that they shoot in the face is Jimmy Olsen. But it's Jimmy Olsen. And this is where I get pissed, because later on Zack Snyder said, "Oh yeah, Jimmy Olsen is in that movie. He's the CIA agent, the person who gets killed in Africa at the beginning of the movie." Because there's not enough room for him in the middle of, this universe. But you have room for Perry White, or characters that don't matter, like the girl from the first movie who worked at the Daily Planet. Why is she still there? Why can't we have Jimmy Olsen in her place? there is enough room. You just decide to say fuck it, just kill whatever. It's not like there's no fans of Jimmy Olsen. You're wrong. There really are. But that really pissed me off. I'm not like a huge Jimmy Olsen fan, but it's like, could you find better reasoning? Or just not call him Jimmy Olsen. If you're not going to call him Jimmy Olsen in the movie, then just don't credit him as Jimmy Olsen. Just later on put Jimmy Olsen in. Just saying. So Lois is useless in this movie. And that comes across quite a bit. It's not even just in that scene. That whole subplot is useless. But later on, when she's supposed to be at the final battle, basically so she can be right there when Superman dies. It's pretty much the only reason why she's there. She's there, just whatever, fuck it. Nobody's caring about where she is, by the way. She's just running around. While Doomsday's running around fighting everybody, she's just chilling. Whatever, fuck her. But, whatever. The Batman v Superman aspect of this film. Now, this movie was originally titled Batman v Superman. Awesome. Then they changed it to Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice. And we're like, it's a shitty title. Why? Well, they were throwing Wonder Woman in there. And Aquaman. And Flash. And Cyborg. And Lex Luthor. And Doomsday. Oh yeah, and KGBs is going to be in there too, by the way. Why? Why? This whole movie, you can make this movie 2.5 hours. If you have to stretch it that long, you really don't. But if you want to stretch it that long, you can make a whole 2.5 hour long movie about Batman versus Superman. You don't need to have all this other stuff in there. You don't need. It's like I understand if they had a cool way the way that they wanted to introduce the Justice League. If they wanted to introduce like Cyborg, Flash, and everybody in a inventive, cool way where it mattered, then fine, that's great. They're introduced on a laptop on a television. They watch little videos. It's not like they're in the movie. They're not in the movie. They're just. What was the point? All it did was eat up runtime that you could have used giving more character motivation to Batman, or not even Batman. Batman had perfect character motivation. They totally did that right. Batman is the clear cut character of this movie who gets the best attention. Superman gets fucked over in this movie so hard because he's like, it's Batman Superman. I know it's not. People keep on calling this movie in trying to talk about how Superman gets shafted in this movie. They kind of say like this is a Man of Steel sequel. It's not a Man of Steel sequel. This is a Man of Steel 2. It started out that way, but it changed into something completely different. This isn't a Man of Steel movie. This is about Batman and about Superman. So devoting more time to Batman isn't a problem. It's more allocating storylines. Because if you cut that if you kept this entire runtime, if you kept that at 2:30, you cut that entire embarrassing fucking Africa sequence and subplot out of this entire movie, and Doomsday, and that Justice League bit, and you made that all about Batman and Superman fighting, and the reasons for why they're fighting, why they want to do this. Batman has a real reason for fighting Superman. He has a real fear, a real motivation, a real anger towards him as a person. He doesn't understand that. He was trying to stop Zod, but as a human being, you don't know that. Okay, you're being an emotional human being who also happens to be psychologically unhinged because you dress up as a bat and fight criminals at night and brand them, and you're crazy. Batman's fucking nuts. It's understandable why he wants to fight Superman. Now, you could have had a very easy, and it looks like they tried to do that in the movie, but then they decided to go a different direction at the end. Why? I don't fucking know. But they had a easy, clear-cut reason for them to fight. Batman is a violent vigilante who, intentionally or not, unintentionally, I think it's more by proxy, but he kills people sometimes. I don't think he always intentionally kills them. People saying like he basically just shoots people. If you look closely, he doesn't really shoot the person. He kind of shoots the car and they blow up. The car blew up and killed them. He caused their death. I'm not trying to excuse him. He definitely caused their death, but he didn't. It's not like he pointed the gun at him and shot him in the face. He causes people's death. He's a violent, brutal vigilante. Superman doesn't stand for that. He's a Boy Scout. He's somebody who believes in a code, who believes that you need to do things a certain way. You can't just murder people outright. You have to have certain rules and limitations. That's easy character motivation. That is so easy. And even if it is easy, and even if it is maybe a little cliche, that's totally the character. It totally makes sense. Why don't you just use that? It's easy. They set that up. They literally set up that character motivation in the movie with scenes. Like, they actually talked about it, and they ignored it. Then they just sidelined it. And they decided to use it. Oh, well, Lex Luthor kidnapped my mom. Really? Like you had perfect character motivation that was a better choice. One that would have made this conflict more than just a physical one. You could have made this a conflict of ideologies. And I'm going to use an example. Daredevil. We all know I love Daredevil. And I haven't talked about Daredevil Season 2 yet. I will get to that one too. But Daredevil Season 2 does a great... In episode... I think it's episode 2. No, episode 3. I think it's episode 3. Punisher and Daredevil have a talk on a rooftop. This is in a trailer. It's not like I'm spoiling anything, if you haven't seen the show yet. But they have an argument in the trailer about how, the Punisher puts people down and they stay down, and Daredevil, just prolongs the inevitable. They just get back out and they kill people, blah, 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 blah. That whole shtick. That is literally what you could have done for Batman v Superman. You could have limited the whole... Punisher literally shoots people in the face. He literally shoots people in the face in that show. With a shotgun sometimes. Batman doesn't necessarily kill people. He doesn't care. That's the thing. He really just doesn't care. But if you die, you die. Sorry, bud. But, he's a violent, brutal vigilante. Boy Scout character. That's not hard. They set it up in the movie. They mentioned how Clark Kent's trying to take on the Batman. That whole scene in the trailer where he's talking about saying, he's a brutal vigilante. He's a mass vigilante. And then Perry White saying nobody cares about Clark Kent taking on the Batman. I cared about Clark Kent taking on the Batman. He should have been fighting him about the ideology, not about Lex Luthor taking his mother, and not listening to him. It's such a simple way you could have fixed that, and they made it overcomplicated. Just for what? I don't understand why you did that. Because if you'd done it simply enough, it would have been a better movie. It would have been a more compelling movie. It would have had a better emotional payoff. But it didn't. And adding on to the whole fight with Batman and Superman, it's a short fight. It's max 8 minutes. For a movie that's titled Batman v Superman, they fight for 8 minutes. 8 minutes? Out of a 2.5 hour long movie? Are you fucking kidding me? That fight should have been at least 15, 20 minutes. That should have been a long fight, and it should have been a very, very brutal fight that had dialogue in it. Not just a slugfest. It should have had dialogue in it, and they should have been worrying about their ideologies while they were throwing punches. They should have been having real character just clashing, not just fists. But it was just the fight was entertaining. I'm not going to say it wasn't entertaining. It was a fun fight. It was brief, and I just didn't feel anything there because I didn't feel the motivations of the characters, and that's the problem. Is that there's no weight to the fight. That's bad. In a movie called Batman v Superman, where you're supposed to care about both characters, and both characters are supposed to have conflicting ideologies and conflicting beliefs and all these different things. You're supposed to feel the anger. You're supposed to feel the hate, and the only person you feel that from is Batman, because he has a real reason for fighting him. Clark he comes by. He's like, Bruce, we need to talk, and then Batman says, no, fuck that, and the fight starts because, oh, Bruce, you hit me with a sonar blast. I guess I have to fuck you up now. It's stupid. The reason for fighting is so stupid, and it leads to some things I like though, like the warehouse fight is phenomenal, but the reason for it happening is stupid. I cannot stand that they used Clark's mom. I get it. He took his mom. I would just fucking heat vision him in the face. But then again, it would get my mother. That would get my mother killed, wouldn't it? But it's like, it's so stupid that they had to think up another way or another reason for them to fight when they had one laid out in the movie that was easier and more believable. And not as cliche either. Whatever. Everything's cliche at this point. Okay, I'm going to stop talking about that because if I can talk at length about that whole thing. Lex Luthor is terrible. I've tried so hard to look at it in a different way, look at it from a more existential point of view, as a more of a it's a facade. He's kind of just, he's really unhinged, but in the end he comes off as a creepy cokehead addict who's twitchy, and it doesn't come off. I'm not afraid of this guy. He's just weird. He's just fucking weird. Like there's one instant where I was like, holy shit, this guy's fucked up. And that was when he showed Clark the pictures of his mother after he kidnapped him. That was fucked up. I'm not gonna lie, that was fucked up. But like some of the lines he gives, like, what the fuck, dude? Come on. The putting the Jolly Rancher in the guy's mouth. Oh my god, this just gets so fucking weird. He's so weird. He's such a disappointing character, because I was actually for Jesse Eisenberg playing Lex Luthor. I thought this could work. And it's not like it's his fault. I mean, like, that's what he was directed to do. That's what the character was in the script. It just came off weird. I mean, this could have come off in a certain way. You could have taken his character in a certain different direction. But they took him in a really weird, twitchy crazy, weird fucking thing that's not scary way. I'm not intimidated by him at all, intellectually, physically, psychologically. He's not a good villain. He's just kind of weak and weird. He's weird in that so bad is good kind of way. I find it unintentionally hilarious. There was one really great thing that he did do, though. I thought the Granny Peach Tea or whatever it was called thing, that was funny. I thought that was funny until what happens after that happened, and I was like, that's fucked up. But yeah, that was bad. I wasn't a fan of Lex Luthor. Doomsday is a big thing, so I'll leave that for a little later. This video is almost 36 minutes already, and I'm not even done yet. Such a long video. Okay, so you want to get on to... I really want to talk about Doomsday. Just fucking I'm going to talk about Doomsday now. Doomsday, okay. People have been talking about his CGI being bad. I don't particularly think his CGI is that bad. I wasn't bothered by it while I was watching the movie, I'll say that. Him being in the movie in general bothered me, though. Because, okay. It's a little tangent. In an already very long video, but admittedly, tangent. Okay. The Death of Superman storyline is a good storyline. Admittedly, it's a plot. It's basically a plot device. The first part of that entire series, that entire storyline, is basically a giant action scene. It's not really a story, but it's a giant action scene. But the point of that is that we have already been at that point. They'd already had an established DC universe where people knew each other, where there was a Justice League. So when Superman dies, there is an emotional component to that. There is a tangible emotionality to that. When you kill Superman, he's not dead. But when you kill Superman in the second movie in the universe, where Batman was teamed up with him for like 15 minutes, and Wonder Woman was teamed up with him for 15 minutes, and Flash isn't there, Cyborg isn't there, Aquaman's not there, anybody from the DC universe, none of them are there. There is literally no emotional payoff to that scene. And that's a big problem, because if you're gonna kill Superman, there better be some bad fucking emotion to that. Some really heart-wrenching shit to that. I felt nothing. I knew it was coming, because Superman picks up that spear and looks at Lois and says, like, I love you or something. I don't remember. He says something to her like, I love you. And he flies. Number one, he's carrying he's carrying a kryptonite spear, and he's flying with the spear at Doomsday. I don't know how he does that. I can't explain that. It's like Brandon Routh Superman lifting a whole fucking island of kryptonite out of the ocean. I don't know how he did that, though. I think Superman Returns is a much better movie than this. Also in my top 10 comic movies. That's a good movie. But I don't know how it works, but he kills Doomsday. It's not like I don't believe. Like when I watch it, I'm like, yeah, like I believe he could die. But like when you get to the point where they're having the two funerals, and that's something that should be emotional. It should be powerful, a powerful scene. And to a certain degree, they do some kind of payoff with that, where the entirety of the movie, the public was going back and forth on whether or not they liked him or not, and whether or not they thought he was a menace or not. But at the end, they're like, well, he died saving us. He died protecting us, no matter what we did to him, no matter what we said about him. He died protecting us, and that's great. Like I think that's a great, fantastic arc for the citizens of Metropolis, the citizens of the world to go through. But as far as emotional payoff for characters, they haven't known them. They haven't known Superman long enough for there to be real emotional payoff from this. There's no It's not like they have a fostered friendship or anything. They're kind of just, well, he died. Like it's kind of like one of those things where at the end of the warehouse fight scene, he says that Batman saves Superman's mom and says, "I'm a friend of your son's." No, you're not. You just tried to kill him. How are you friends with him? And they fight Doomsday, and then Superman dies, and they go to his funeral. Okay, fine, whatever. But then Batman's like, I failed him in life. I won't fail him in death. And I'm like you know this guy for like 16, for like the entirety of your life. You haven't. You've known him personally, for like 8 hours. Really? I don't know how. I don't know how that works. I don't understand how that computed in the mind of Zack Snyder, in the mind of Chris Terrio, in the mind of David Goyer as a good ending. I think that entire ending is one of the parts that really brought this movie down for me, because I understand what they were trying to do, but they should have saved that whole storyline for a movie way down the road. Way down the road. When we have established universe where they're all friends and they all know each other. It's like, I'm going to make an example. Civil War. This movie is coming out in just like 2 weeks. I'm going to see it in 2 weeks. Yay. I'm stoked for this movie. But, in this movie, there's a possibility of Captain America dying. Do I think he will die? Not really. But if he does, let's just say for sake that he does. I haven't seen the movie yet. I don't know. For argument's sake, he does. They have had, like 13 movies now, where they've built up these characters as a team and as friends. Whether I think that specifically Tony and Captain America have a real good relationship in the movies or not, this notwithstanding, they've had time together to build these characters up so they know each other and there's actual camaraderie there at points. And then Captain America dies. That would be emotional, because there's a fostered relationship between the entirety of the Avengers and Captain America, and they're gonna care about each other. Batman v Superman, completely opposite. It's a weak ending, and worse than that, it's a weak ending that could have been great if it was later on when it would make more sense. So I hate that ending. I really hate that ending, and I hate the whole part about Batman saying I get this Justice League together because of this, blah blah blah. Yeah, no, it's fucking garbage. It's fucking garbage. Okay, I'm gonna get on to one of the things that people really. I'm already at 42 minutes, and I'm like, I want to get done because I feel like this video is going on way too long. But Batman killing people. This is a big hot button issue between people in the community, in the nerd community, comic book community, in the movie community. This is a big problem. I wouldn't call Batman a murderer, per se. I'm also not going to say he definitely has no kill rule. I'm going to say that no kill rule is probably suspended, but he does. I don't think. I only saw the movie once. I didn't really. I paid attention, but I remember certain things. He didn't necessarily murder everybody. He shot the truck up in one of them, and he shot it up just enough for the guy to get the fuck off. And the guy didn't get the fuck off, and it blew up. Same thing with him ramming the car. Ramming the truck. Yeah, someone probably got knocked off that. Or they didn't move. I don't know. That one's probably de-murdered them. That one I'm not going to dispute. I would try, but I'd be wrong. There's no way to fight that. Now, with KGBs at the end of the movie, who, by the way, I don't think is dead. But KGBs at the end of the movie, he kind of made a choice there. Because, Batman shot the tank. But KGBs ignited the tank after the puncture, so he kind of killed himself. It's kind of his fault. Knocking the grenade back in. The guys had time to move. They didn't move. They died. The car. He didn't. pancake the car, but he did roll the car quite a bit with a grappling hook attached to it. I'm not. That's pretty bad. But overall, I don't have a huge problem with him killing people in this movie. Mostly because I feel like later on we're gonna be introduced to Robin's death and other stuff and how that probably unhinged him. Because you know what? Tangent. In Under the Red Hood. In the movie, at least. I haven't read the comic book yet. It's on my list. I'm not going to hand my geek card in yet, but in the movie, at least, Jason Todd has a discussion with Bruce about how, how do you let these people keep getting out? They keep killing people. And Jason died. In this movie, it's like, he keeps letting people get away. Then Jason dies. And instead of the comic books where he's stubborn and he just doesn't kill anybody, Batman's like, no, fuck that. And he just starts killing people, starts icing everybody. I could see that being a thing. And I could see believing that. Even though it's Batman, I know he has the no-kill rule. I understand that. But in a way that makes sense. It makes sense if you want to portray these characters as human beings, as people who have psyches and actually are real people. At some point there's got to be a breaking point. There's got to be a point where you say, enough's enough. I'm going to fucking kill these people. As Batman, Batman would have to think at some point when, you let your partner die, when you let Robin die, there's got to be a point when you're Batman and you just got to be like, how did I let this happen? How did I let Joker out so many times after he probably shot Barbara Gordon in the spine and put her in a wheelchair and killed Robin? How can I let him walk around? How can I let any of these criminals walk around? How can I let them just keep going around? You got to think there's a point. There's got to be a point where you break and you just say, fuck it, they're done. You're done taking the shit and you're ready to fucking kill everybody. I gotta assume that that's where Batman is. And I also got to assume at the end of this movie, what part of the thing where he says, I failed him in life, I won't fail him in death, is a situation where he's saying, I can be better. I don't have to kill people. I can be the person I once was, and I can do it better. I can do it in a way in which I don't have to murder people, but I still can keep my street safe. I can see that being a storyline. I can see that being his arc, but they have to capitalize more on it in The Batman or in Justice League. They have to really capitalize on that story in order for me to forgive it. Nightmare stuff. The nightmare sequences. While I like them, I think they're cool. More specifically, the one with Superman being a bad guy thing. Not excluding the ones where like he walks down to the gravesite and the bats come out and attacks him and stuff. That one was standing because that's definitely a different kind of nightmare. Specifically the stuff that builds out Darkseid or builds out Superman becoming a villain. While I enjoyed the scene, it really doesn't have a context in this film. It kind of just happens. Now, it had to, they tried to set up Darkseid, and while that's fine, and I think that's a good choice to do, I think the way they went about it was bad. I think putting it in a dream for Batman was a bad idea. I think that was a poor way of doing it. Also, I don't want to see Injustice Gods Among Us happening in this goddamn universe. I don't want to fucking see that. I love the game. And I think the story's good. I think it's a good story. It's a great Elseworld story. It's a good story that should not be canon, something that is a fun read. I don't want to see that in movie form. I do not ever want to see Superman as a bad guy in a movie. As a literal bad guy. Like, mind control withstanding that, that's fine to happen. But literally a bad guy going, off the rails and becoming a tyrant. I never want to see that. I never fucking want to see that. That's not Superman, and I don't want to see it. I understand. I'm hoping that scene didn't mean that was going to be an idea down the road. I was hoping that it's just like a what if, if you don't help Superman, this is what's going to happen, and then Batman helps Superman, and that doesn't happen. I'm hoping that's what happens because I don't want to see that. That being said, it's a good scene. It's an entertaining scene. It's a visually cool scene. But altogether, it's not important to this plot. It took up like 10 minutes of screen time that we could have used for story and for character motivations and stuff. That being said, if they released like a 10 or 15 minute short film about that, I'd watch the shit out of that. That's pretty cool. But as a whole, it's not necessary. As is the Africa scene, not fucking necessary. Just there's a lot of screen time in this movie that they could have just given to the actual characters to actually make them believable characters who want to fight each other. I know I already beat this dead horse, but I'm just saying that's the most infuriating part of this movie is that they had a better movie laid out in the movie, but halfway through it, it's like they said, no, fuck that smarter decision. Let's make dumb fucking decisions. I'm not gonna say I'm not excited for the DCEU now. I'm saying Suicide Squad looks fucking. Every trailer I see looks fucking great for that movie. That movie looks better and better every time I see it, and I'm having a feeling that Suicide Squad is going to crush the fuck out of Batman vs Superman. It is going to be way better, and I have a feeling that movie is gonna be fucking awesome. And then I think Wonder Woman. What footage we've seen of it. I'm sure we'll get more of that in June, or whenever Comic-Con is. I think it's June or July. Whenever Comic-Con rolls around, we're gonna see more footage, and I think that Wonder Woman is gonna be great. I like the director they got going on there. I like the cast. It's a great cast, and the type of story they want to tell is an interesting story. I'm hoping that it's a good story. The writer doesn't give me a lot of hope because he wrote Pan. But I'm gonna give him a shot. I'm not gonna shit on him, but they have the groundwork laid out for those characters very well. The Batman. I'm hoping the movie's titled The Batman. That's a cool fucking title because they can't call it Batman. They can't call it The Dark Knight. I'm hoping for good things with the Batman because Ben Affleck's directing it. They confirmed that I think at CinemaCon this past week. Ben Affleck's directing it. Awesome. Can't wait to see that because it's gonna be a gritty Batman movie. It's gonna be a down in the streets kind of a movie. It's not gonna be a big spectacle, sci-fi, explosive CGI mess. It's gonna be a mostly practical movie, and that's what I'm excited about. Awesome. And he also wrote the script for it. And Kevin Smith says it's fucking baller. Great. Excited for that. I want another Man of Steel movie. That hasn't been slated yet. And it's looking less and less like that's going to happen anytime soon. Because they said, well, we'll see how Batman vs. Superman does. It didn't crack $1 billion, and it's not going to crack $1 billion. So they're probably rethinking that. Because most people are praising Batman, they're not praising Superman. Justice League... I'm excited for Justice League, but they've definitely dug themselves into a hole here. Because they didn't set all these characters up very well. They set up Batman well, and they set up Superman pretty decently. They didn't set up... They're going to have Wonder Woman set up right before Justice League, so they're going to have something there. But for Cyborg, and for Flash, and for Aquaman, they're just going to get dropped in there, and we're going to see what happens. That's a problem. I'm hoping that's a problem that's alleviated. I don't know what the story of the movie is. If this movie centers around Aquaman, which is what I'm hearing from some of the speculation, some of the rumors from inside sources, that a lot of the story has to do with Atlantis. So this might be a Throne of Atlantis kind of style thing. Cool. That'll give a lot of information about Aquaman, but Flash and Cyborg are still kind of left out there. It's like a damn if you do, damn if you don't. If you do like a volume 1 of Justice League kind of story, you get some Cyborg in there, and you see some of the Cyborg stuff. But if you do Throne of Atlantis, you see some Aquaman stuff. Who do we care about more? I care more about Aquaman. I don't give a shit about Cyborg. Personally, I think Cyborg's a wasted slot. I know I'm like one of the few people who thinks that, but I think Cyborg's a wasted spot. I think that spot should go to Martian Manhunter. Personally, just personally. Um, but I'm excited for Justice League. I'm hearing better things. Like the way the producers are talking about, they're saying it's a more crowd pleasing style film, kind of like the Avengers, and also that they're reining it back in on Snyder. They're reining them back in. Let them, they're gonna watch him a little more, which is good. But I think that Snyder needs to get the fuck out. I love Snyder. I'm not gonna hate on Snyder. I love Snyder, but there comes a point where you gotta just back up, just do some new stuff. And they did the same thing with Avengers. Avengers 1 was Joss Whedon. Avengers 2 was Joss Whedon. Avengers 1 did really well. Avengers 2 also did really well, but the critics and the audience liked it a little less. Also, Joss Whedon got fucking tired on that movie. Snyder has done Man of Steel. He's done Batman vs Superman. He's going to do Justice League Part 1. He should probably get off then. Because sometimes when you're on a franchise for too long, your creative juices diminish. You kind of start doing things. And I don't want that to happen because I don't want Justice League Part 2 to kind of there. But I know he's going to be very, 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 very involved no matter what because they're basically Deborah Snyder is producing all of these movies. So Zack Snyder, even if he removes himself from the director's chair, is going to be involved with all these movies. So hopefully he doesn't get like final say over things. Hopefully he doesn't become the Kevin Feige of DC because you need an actual executive producer. You need a strong person from the producer side of things to do that job, like a Kevin Feige. You need a real producer who doesn't look at it from an artist point of view, who looks at it from a commercial point of view, who looks at it from a story point of view in a way that Zack Snyder appears to be incapable of doing. It's just my 2 cents on that one, or my 57 cents. Overall, I think it's a fine movie. I think Batman v Superman is a fine movie. It's not. It's got very, very big problems, very egregious problems, and it needs. It has left the DCEU in a lower place than Man of Steel left it. It brought it down in quality. What Suicide Squad and Wonder Woman are probably going to do is bring it back up. But Justice League needs to be over the moon good. Or else they're going to have some problems. If Justice League doesn't crack $1 billion, which it will, I think it will. Even if it's as critically received as Man of Steel was. It's still going to. I think it might still crack $1 billion, but I said that about Batman vs Superman, and that's not going to happen. If it doesn't crack $1 billion, they're going to very strongly reconsider whether or not they want to move forward with this universe, and I wouldn't blame them for that. And if that happens, if Justice League fails, I'm just throwing it out there. But if Justice League fails, I have a feeling we're not going to get another DC film for like 10 years. Because they would have poured so much money into this that they're going to be like, man, we're done. And we're going to have to wait until this blows over. So I'm hoping that this works out. I really am. Because I love DC. And I at some point, I want to see a Green Arrow movie. Probably won't happen. But I want to see it. So I want this universe to get to that point. But we'll see what happens. So in the end, I like the movie. It's fine. I gave it like a 7. I gave it like 3 stars on Letterboxd. But it's got a lot of problems. I do enjoy it, but I'm not gonna sit here and be one of those DC fanboys who goes la 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 la. It's perfect. It's not. It's not perfect. In fact, it's very not perfect. But it's how it is, man. All right, I'm gonna go because I have to go make another video and then I have to go to bed. So see you guys.